We're gonna be late tonight. Bill Newkirk is in the hospital. He had a bleed on his leg, where he had that surgery, and had aneurysm. And so they he went in. He was in the hospital yesterday. He might have gone the night before.
They're automatic. I'm trying to get out of there. No, they know what the other one's gonna do. Yeah, it's not as. The June 12th, 2019 meeting of the Municipal Code Enforcement Board is called to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Municipal Code Enforcement Board is charged with conducting hearings to determine whether
an alleged violation of the city code has occurred. Decisions made by the quasi-judicial board will be based on the evidence and facts presented tonight. Our meetings are conducted in accordance with Robert's Rules of Order, and each case will begin with the city presenting its evidence of the alleged violation. The respondents will then present his or her case. Both parties will have the opportunity to cross-examine all witnesses. The board members may question any witness. Comments by both parties must be relevant to the case. Persons wishing to speak will be given an opportunity to do so by the chair and must address the board from the podium after giving their name and address. Upon request, copies of materials submitted by the staff are available for review. Board members are reminded to obtain permission to speak from the chair, and questions of the city should be directed to the attorney for the city. At this time, I will ask all persons who expect to give testimony tonight to stand and be sworn in by the city clerk.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony or evidence you're about to give or present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Thank you. Cases will be taken out of order to accommodate respondents and witnesses present here at tonight's meeting. We are going to take the lien reduction petitions tonight because we have one on Skype with us here tonight, which is something new for us. They will be case number 1 is going to be 145858 and 165117. And then number 2 will be case numbers 180048 and 182568. And then the third case will be over on page, will be case number 195041. So, and I want, because we're on Skype tonight, I want to remind the board members to not speak over each other so that the petitioner can understand who is speaking to them. Okay, are we ready? Oh, first, before we do that, I wanted to get all that straight, but before we do that, approval of the minutes. Has ever,
Before we start the point of order, you said 5041 would be third? I can't find that particular case on my list.
191067.
Say again?
1067.
1067.
Under unfinished, I believe is what he
Okay,
meant.
got it, thank you.
I'm sorry. Okay, everyone, all the board members have received the minutes, and were there, except Mr. Lloyd was not here.
I'm going to abstain from the vote.
Okay. And everyone else has. Are there any comments or changes? Mr. Napke wasn't here either. Some motion?
Move to approve the minutes?
Motion by Paglarovich, Litch, and Snelling on the second. All approved?
Aye.
Opposed? No nays. Okay.
Ex parte.
Yeah, that's where we're going next. I'm glad you guys are paying attention. That's good.
All right.
Board Attorney.
I would like to ask members of the board if they have had any ex parte communications regarding any of the matters that will be coming before them this evening. If you've had any verbal communications, if you would please disclose who those communications were with, when, where they occurred. And if you have any written communications, if you would please disclose the nature of those communications and then pass them to the clerk to be placed in the record.
I've had none.
Not the none.
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 None. I've had none.
Thank you.
Is Mr. and Mrs. Gazzola?
They are
With us?
on,
They are,
yes.
okay. They could hear my
They
voice?
can, yes.
And they could hear me?
Can you hear Director Baroni? Yes.
Okay. Good evening. Tom Baroni, Code Compliance Director. At this time, I would like to introduce this lien reduction petition request in case number 145858.
A little louder,
A little louder?
yeah.
16-5117, City versus Melissa Gazzola, a trustee, property located at 13203 Sanctuary Cove Drive, apartment 304, with a lien amount of $117,550. In the first case, 14-5858, originated back on August 1st, 2014, when housing officer Patterson from the Temple Terrace Fire Department found several violations during his inspection that failed due to no smoke detector, stovetop range not operable, no fire extinguisher, a hot water heater not operable. This case was heard at the November 12, 2014 MCEB hearing with a $75 fine that did accrue a lien amount of $116,550. With 28 inspections by housing inspectors totaling $980 and a clerk's cost of $130 totaling $1,110. In the second case, 16-5117, originated back on March 3rd, 2016, by Housing Officer Len Valenti for permit renewal and fee, which was presented to the Code Board on April 13th, 2016, where a fine of $20 per day did accrue a capped lien amount of $1,000. With 9 inspections by housing officers totaling $350 amount and the clerk's cost of $130 totaling $480. Based on the health and safety issue with the landlord not supplying the tenant with a fire extinguisher and a smoke detector, my recommendation to the board this evening is to lower the lien amount from $117,550 to $8,400. How did I come to this conclusion? Well, based on Officer Patterson's testimony under oath, presented testimony at the November 12th hearing in 2014, that he met the tenant. So I based that he confirmed that there was a tenant occupying the apartment at that time. So there was 49 days from November 12th, 2014 to the end of the year. So I took the 49 days that were left in 2014, and then I added to 2015 of 365 days. And then 2016, Officer Valenti was out there, took photos of the back patio showing furniture and children's toys in the back lanai. So totaling those days, it comes out to 516 days that I have evidence that there was a tenant there. So I took that 516 days and I multiplied it by $75 a day fine, and it came out to $38,700. Using not 10%, but I used 15% due to the health and safety issue, that equals $5,800. So adding the city costs in both of the cases, $1,580, and $1,000 from the lien amount in case number 16-5117, it adds up to $8,400. So I spoke to Mr. Gazzola this afternoon. He insists that there was no tenant at this property, but I do have evidence that there was a rental permit filled out by the Mazzolas back in 2015. I also have the agenda from the Code Board hearing back on 2014, where Officer Patterson said on August 1st that he met the tenant at the subject property to inspect the property. And also in that hearing, Vice Chairman Lloyd Question, if the initial inspection was performed as a result of the rental permit application, Officer Patterson replied affirmative, and noted that the application and corresponding fee had been submitted early in 2014. So the petitioners are saying they've never rented this property since 2011. At this time, I'll stand by for some questioning.
Are there any questions for Director Barone? There being none?
Good,
You have
actually,
one?
yeah. I noticed you've talked about the evidence you have there.
Yes.
Do we have any utilities or water under a different name that were
Okay,
assigned to that property?
Tico, this is the Tampa Water.
Okay.
So we don't have any water bills.
Okay,
And Tico, they don't allow any information as far as who occupied the structure at that
Gotcha.
time. So I did reach out to the tenant, Nellie, and she never called me back.
okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? There being none? I guess at this point, we'll go to the petitioner.
Sure.
Sir?
Yes, first, I just want to thank everyone for letting us do this through Skype. I super appreciate that. And can everyone hear me? I just want to make sure real quick. Can you guys all hear me okay?
We're taking care of that right now.
Oh, okay.
The mic's not on.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm used to Skype, but maybe the microphone just put it near the speakers.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Can you guys all hear me okay now?
Yes.
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 Okay, so first, thank you guys for this. I super appreciate, being able to do this through Skype. And if I could just tell the real quick story leading up to where we got now, is that okay? I'll just take 2 minutes to explain how we got to where we are today. So back in 2006, this was an apartment building. What happened was they converted it to condos. And they guaranteed that if you bought one of the condos, they would pay you the rent. So whether they rented it or not, they would pay us the rent. So I bought both of these units for $126,000 each. My goal was it was going to be an investment, right? $126,000. I paid for that. It's not even worth half of that now. But what happened was the city of Temple Terrace was always great with me. I have no complaints with that. Now, Preserve is the community where I bought the units. The Preserve, they were paying the rent to me. Now, whether they rented the place or not, that wasn't the concern, right? Because for 4 years, they would pay the rent. From 2006 on, for 4 years, they paid the rent. Whether they rented the place or not was never even a concern to me, right? Because I bought it as an investment. Well, as we all know, real estate got so bad during that time. Markets were crashing all across the country. Not just Florida, nationwide. The property values collapsed. So the only reason I explain that is because the reason why from 2006 all the way to 2012, I never put much focus on this property. And that's only because the management company was paying the rent each month, right? So if they rented it or didn't rent it, every month they paid the rent to me, right? But I paid $126,000 for these. So let me just fast forward. That's just the preamble to what's happened since. So Brendan, I still have his cell phone number now. Brendan Patterson, the actual code enforcement guy. What happened was back in 2014, he said he saw stuff on the balcony, right? Now, 1 year prior, Preserve at Temple Terrace said, we're not going to manage anymore. No more rents. We're not paying anything to you guys. From now on, no more rents paid out. This is back in 2013. And we were okay with that, right? Because the market had crashed, we weren't going to let our name go under, right? So every month, just to be clear on the record, from 2013 till now, we still paid the mortgage every month. We still paid the HOA each month. We still paid the property taxes each month. But because the market was so depressed, we never rented the property, ourselves. We've never been a landlord. And I want to be super clear about that because we were never a landlord. And I have documents. If you guys could please just look at Exhibit A, is that okay? If Kristen's there, can she present the board with Exhibit A just to show that Preserve at Temple Terrace never once was a landlord from those dates, never paid us $1 of rent. We were never landlords. We were never, I mean, because we were going to suck up the loss, and the market is getting better. So we were never going to just let the property go and just like let it foreclose. A lot of people did that, right? But we said we committed to this property. If you guys could please just look at Exhibit A, this is from Preserve at Temple Terrace, showing that we never collected rent, we were never landlords, and they never, ever rented out our property. Now, this is them saying this.
Hold on just a second. Kristen, do you have Exhibit A, or would you share it with us?
Exhibit A, I believe, is the letter from the Preserve Administration Manager.
Is that from the, yes.
That's correct, yes.
And if you'd like to
You want to read it? Can she read it? Is that, go ahead and
Read
read it.
Yes, why don't
That
you go
way
ahead
we can
and
all
read it?
share it.
This is a letter from the Preserve dated June 12th, 2019. Riza Ortiz, Administration Manager, Preserve at Temple Terrace. To whom it may concern, I am the Administration Manager at the Preserve at Temple Terrace. In regards to the property owned by the Gazzola Family Trust, I have searched through the last 7 years of records and have found that the concerned property located inside the Preserve has not been a rental property at any time. No funds have been collected and no funds have been paid out. The Preserve has no records of any tenant-property manager relationship at any time, and at no time has this property been a rented property. In fact, we see no relationship of any kind that would constitute a tenant-property manager relationship, at least in the last 7 years. Feel free to contact me at any time. Riza Ortiz, Administration Manager, Preserve at Temple Terrace, and it's signed.
Thank you, Kristen. We'll enter that into the record. It is part of the record. Okay.
Yes, and the only reason I reference that is because, like, I've been a landlord, like, the market hit us all hard. Like, it literally, like, when the market crashed, it was really bad. And a lot of tenants, so to speak to Tom, like, I talked to him earlier. He's a really good guy. But what I was trying to explain is, like, when some tenants leave, they literally leave stuff in the apartment. Like, 7 years later, even though we never rented it for 7 years, there was a TV. Like, we just went into the apartment in April. Locks were rusted. Like, power's been off forever. There has not been a tenant there. Like, I want to clarify. Not just me saying there's never been a... But the Preserve, the actual property manager, has nothing to gain from saying yes or no there was a tenant there. They're literally confirming that in the last 7 years, I have not rented the place. Now, I just want to be super clear. Like, when some tenants leave an apartment or a house, they do leave stuff, right? They don't just, like, leave and, like, sweep the floors, vacuum, steam clean. They don't do that, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Let's stay on topic.
yeah, my point of explaining that is when they saw stuff on the balcony, that stuff was there for 7 years until the Preserve had to redo the balconies. Then they removed it. Like, the Preserve had to enter the place, remove that junk from the balcony, just so they could repair the balcony. So my only reason to explain that is that sometimes, like, tenants are not tenants, but they still have stuff at the house. Like, meaning on the balcony, yes, there was junk. Yes, there was tons of trash. Yes, there was sofas. Yes, there was, like, a lot of junk, like,
Okay.
in the property, right? But that doesn't mean there was a tenant. So, like, what Tom was explaining, that they felt like there was a tenant there because there was stuff on the balcony, it's just not, like, doesn't mean there was a tenant there.
Yeah, excuse me. You've talked with Tom, and he's told you what we're doing here tonight with the lien reduction, and you understand what we're doing, what we're hearing, and that's what our goal is. And are you, it's an unusual case obviously, because it's empty now, or it has been empty since at least April. So
No, it's occupied now as of April. Just
it
to
is
clear the record.
occupied now.
And I completely remodeled them, put all new fire extinguishers, all new smoke detectors. Like, I spent a lot of money
Yep.
just to bring it into compliance so I could rent it.
Okay,
But I have not been a landlord for 7 years, just to be clear.
okay. With the lien reduction request and the amount of lien reduction recommendation that Mr. Barone, Director Barone has presented to us, what is your feeling about that?
Well, like, my feeling is just that this entire process of saying that I'm a landlord perpetuated this lien, right? Now, like, I understand they have like $250 in costs, things like that. Now, but my point of view is just that the way he's calculating days of fines and like all these like extra things is all based on the fact that I was a landlord. And I can prove that I was not, right? Like,
Well,
and
but you, as far as the city would know, you were the landlord and you are the owner of the property. So that's how we are represented. I have another, Mr. Lloyd has a question for you.
Okay.
yes, but if I could just address your statement really quick, is that okay, just for 30 seconds?
Okay?
Okay, so there's like I have owned the property since 2006, but like in the last 7 years, there was no tenant relationship. Now, what Mr. Tom Barone is referring to was I was in communication with Brendan Pedersen. He doesn't work there anymore. Really good guy. Just we have each other's cell phone. I just talked to him recently. What he's referring to is that Brendan went there, felt there was people there. He was going to the place trying to like find out if a squatter was there because I was never a landlord. Now, that all of that is what has perpetuated the fact we're even here now because I did pay the $150 to apply to be a landlord, but I never fulfilled that only because the market became really depressed. And that's why I introduced the proof from Preserve at Temple Terrace just to show that in the last 7 years, they have never collected rent on me. They have not been in a tenant relationship with anybody. I've never received a dollar. So I've never been a landlord is the whole point of how this all came out. Now, yes, I've owned the properties, but I was never
Okay.
a landlord.
Okay, hold on a second. Mr.
Okay,
Lloyd.
I appreciate everything that you've discussed and you've gone back in the years. I'm going to speak to the evidence that Mr. Barone spoke about and the time frame that we have in front of us, which is 2014, 2015. I believe the evidence is that there was a rental application submitted in 2015 where you wanted to become a landlord in that respect. Did you submit that application at that time?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yes, I
So
submitted
now
an
the second
application,
component is,
but it wasn't rented at the time.
that's
I
fine,
submitted it.
I just wanted to know, but your intent was to rent the property at that time?
My intent
Okay.
was,
And then I believe, and again, you have testified that you've never rented this property or received monies from this property, or just now, but earlier in your testimony, and correct me if I'm wrong, did I hear you say that you got money from the Preserve in which they paid the rent? Did they pay that to you?
Yes, so
Okay,
from
thank you.
2006
So now
to
the-
2010.
Okay.
2006 to 2010, those years are not in dispute.
No, I'm not talking about the years. I'm talking
okay.
about you stating that you didn't receive any rent money or any payment
No,
for the
in
property.
2006, yes, I did, in
Okay.
2006. But not on the time of what we're talking about now. It's been vacant the entire time we've been talking
Right,
about
we
now.
understand that.
Yeah, and then
Okay.
maybe as part of the evidence, I noticed the date of the letter is today's date from the Preserve,
Yes.
but there's no mention of a property address. How much, pardon me, this is for maybe our legal advisor. There's no mention of address, just a person's name, and it's a written paper. As far as testimony and evidence, how much gratis do we give to that?
Well, that is up for y'all to decide. It's your job as board members to weigh the evidence that's before you.
Okay. Can I,
Yeah, and we have
can I
two
see if that's
properties, just to be clear.
notarized or sealed? Is that fair to question to ask? Okay.
And they also did own 5 other properties at the same location.
Okay. I'm finished with questions while I review this. If someone on the board has additional questions.
Mr. Napke has a question.
Yes.
Were you, I assume you were notified or made aware of the fines that were growing? That you had come before the code board, you had time to correct, you were supposed to correct, if not, there were going to be fines on a monthly basis. You've known that that's been ongoing since 2014, 2015, 2016, so forth, correct?
No, that is incorrect. So when I was dealing with Brendan back in 2014, we had talked about I was going to rent the place. Now,
That's not
we had
the
a
that's not the
different- so I
question.
didn't hear
The question is, are you aware that the city had through the code enforcement board had said if you didn't bring it into code, since you are the owner, you should have gotten those letters and so forth. You were
Well, I mean,
responsible for
can
the
I-
fines
can I
to be
respond to
incurred.
that?
Yes or no?
Yeah, so at the time, no. I got no notification. At the time. Do I know now? Yes.
So you've not heard anything from the city of Temple Terrace since these started to accrue in 2014 and so forth?
Okay, so can I respond to that?
Yeah,
Hold on just a second.
Because I have, the city attorney's going to speak on that.
Yes, because she's very familiar. I
Yes.
didn't change my. One mistake I made is I did not change my address when I moved from where I was located at the time. But I hadn't heard from Brendan, and I let Brendan know I'm not renting the place right now.
Right.
Is
So-
Brendan an employee
Yeah.
of the
No,
city?
no, no.
Okay.
The city attorney can speak to that.
Mr. Schoen.
Pam Shoshone, City Attorney. I've gathered some of this information through talking to Mr. Gazzola, but I'm not going to testify for him. But I located Mr. and Mrs. Gazzola when the board instructed me to do foreclosure on some of these old liens. This was one of the cases. And in the process of starting that, I started researching and trying to locate the owner of the property. Through finding the attorney's name on a deed or something that was in the county records, I then, through that attorney in California, communicated with him. He found the Gazzolas. He still was in touch with them and discovered that for many years, they had anything we sent to them did not go to them. They had failed to change their address with the Hillsborough County records, and we were sending all notices to their old address that the Hillsborough County records had for them. He's admitting that he had communications, though, with Brendan Patterson, who was one of our employees at the time. Was he with Fire? Fire. And then apparently left our fire department. And at that time, Mr. Gazzola has told me that he then suddenly had no more communication with Brendan. And I think that's where it all dropped off. He had been talking to him, then suddenly got nothing. Whoever picked it up wasn't communicating with him, I guess, except through mail, which was never reaching them. So,
But my point, Madam Attorney, was that's not our responsibility that he didn't tell us.
I agree.
That's his problem, not ours.
Well, I agree with you. So-
I mean,
Mr. Chair, can I ask a couple of questions to
Board
get some
Attorney.
clarification to Ms. Shoshone?
Sure.
Ms. Shoshone, the violations that the fines are running on, are those only violations for rental property and not, that would only come into effect if the property is a rental unit as defined by your code?
By the fact that they had applied to be in the rental program, that triggered us to then go out and inspect that property, and that's how this happened. If they had never rented it, then they don't have to have a stove in there, they don't have to have those things in there. As long as they're not renting it, there's no tenant.
Understood. I just want to make clear, and for the purposes for the board as they evaluate this, that it sounds like the violations are violations for rental unit, not just violations because they're a property owner, but
Correct.
because it's a rental unit as defined by the code.
Correct.
And that gentleman just brought up the most amazing point, was that we did apply to rent it because we wanted to rent the place. Like, that was the goal. But the management at Preserve changed companies. Now they were not renting out the property. So all these violations that we see were based on if it was a rental property.
Okay.
I think,
And it never was.
I think-
It never was.
Right.
That's my whole point,
The
is that it
board-
never was a rental
pardon me
property.
there.
Got that. Hold on just a second.
I think the board members should read this letter, or at least see the formatting of the letter, the syntax of the sentences, and so forth, and let you make your decision on the letter. If you want to start, I was going to start this.
I mean, we could call Preserve right now. I asked.
No, I want them to, it's only fair for them to see the letter and what's stated in there.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
As everybody's reading that, Mr. Chair, let me go ahead and read the definition, if you don't mind, of a rental unit
Please.
by your code. And this is for the, can the Gazolas hear me okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, rental unit means any dwelling which is leased or offered for lease by any arrangement, written or otherwise, or advertised or marketed by the owner as being available to lease by any arrangement, written or otherwise. Then it goes on to say, all oral rental agreements shall be included within the scope of this code. However, I think it's important to point out that that a rental unit does not necessarily have to be occupied by a tenant to be a rental unit and have to apply, and to have the codes apply.
And
Would you repeat-
and I couldn't agree with you more on that statement, because that's what we have never done. Like, we've never rented or offered for rent at that time, right? We were looking to rent it, but I would have to remodel it first. Like, it needed all new cabinets, all new flooring. It needed everything brand new. And I never did that because I wanted, like, as of now, yes, I just put $10,000 into brand new carpet. But that's only as of now. I had never done that previous to today.
Okay. I just,
Okay.
a point of clarity then. Did you submit that rental was a rental application submitted in 2015?
I don't know.
Okay.
That
I
was
thought we
in-
had that in previous testimony, that one was submitted?
I
And that's why I'm
would not
asking.
know.
They don't know.
I don't know
That's
that.
exactly right. They don't know when it was submitted.
I thought that's how he got the cap on the fine for the second $1,000.
Yeah, that's why we went out there.
Case
I
number, it was case number,
16-5117.
That's when they went out there and decided.
Mr.
it was
Gozzola,
rented.
it's hard for us
Stuff
to
on the-
talk over each other. Apologize.
Okay.
That was Officer Valenti's case.
It was case 16-5117?
Yes.
Do we have, I think we got it here. So the application was submitted.
This one's
What date was this submitted?
because they failed to renew in 2016.
March.
It should stand to
Okay.
reason that they.
So you submitted, did you ever submit a rental application again? One more, I think I'd asked you that earlier, but I just want to get point of
Yes,
clarity.
back in 2014, I did.
2014, okay. That, I just
Yes,
wanted to make sure,
absolutely.
I get everything
Yeah.
lined up.
Absolutely, I did submit that,
Okay,
yes.
thank you.
But not in 16.
Okay,
And not when Officer Valenti went out there, no. That's all after the fact of it never being rented.
okay.
Right.
And that's
and-
after the fact of him seeing stuff on the balcony saying it's rented because there was stuff on the balcony, which is not true.
Duly noted.
Well, yes, but he went out there, it was referred, the case was referred to him in 2016, and he went out there doing his job. So
Yeah.
he was, the trigger was set when the lease agreements weren't paid after 2014. I mean, the lead,
Yeah,
loan
because I
application.
never ended up. Oh,
Right.
go ahead. I'm sorry. I don't want to cut you off. I'm sorry.
We have another question.
Wait. Can I just respond? The only reason another rental application wasn't submitted was because we decided not to rent it.
Right.
So after 14, when Officer Valenti took over the case, That was after the fact of us deciding we're not going to rent the place.
Right.
That's why he never made contact with the tenant. That's why he never talked to a tenant. That's why there's no tenant he could say he ever spoke to. He's in his argument. Read it. It says he attempted to contact the tenant.
But we understand that, but he had no way of knowing anything different. Mr. Napke, do you have another question?
Excuse me, I'm just reading the minutes. It said that Officer Valenti was involved in this case in 2014 as well. And 16. Yeah, 16, but and 14.
Patterson.
Mm.
When
2014.
I think he said he submitted the rental application
In 14.
in 14.
That was
But-
Officer Patterson.
Right.
Pardon?
That was Officer Patterson.
Okay, I'm just reading on the back of what we've been
Bob.
given.
The testimony from the minutes of that hearing, I have here Officer Patterson
Okay.
presented the
Okay.
case.
I do have, go ahead, do you have another question? Go ahead.
Mr. Snelling.
Yeah, I think Mr. Gazzola said that they didn't rent any properties after 2012, right? Correct?
That's what he stated.
However, in the
That
first,
is correct, sir.
in the first case, it mentions the fact that Officer Patterson went to the property and spoke to a tenant. So I'm
Yes.
trying to figure out where the discrepancy, something
Well, that's
doesn't
what
add
I'm
up.
doing based on Patterson's testimony,
So-
sworn testimony, that he met the tenant at that date, on that time.
So, Mr. Gazzola, do you have any idea why there might have been someone in that property, a tenant of any
I
kind?
know exactly why, because I was dealing with Mr. Patterson. Now, you just brought up a really good point. Valenti never came into this till 16. So anything prior to 16 is Brendan. And I have Brendan's cell phone number in my phone right now. What happened was Brendan was trying to see, because there was stuff on the balcony. So Brendan was leaving notes. What I did was I had the local people at the preserve let Brendan into the property just so Brendan could do his inspection, because my goal was to rent these out. Although it was never rented, Preserve can show you guys that it was never rented.
Okay, so that's the
property
person,
mana- Oh, go ahead, go
that's the
ahead.
person that, the property manager or whoever let him in, maybe what he considered the tenant, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, the only disconnect, because Brendan's a good guy and he's a super honest guy. The only disconnect is he says a tenant let him in. I even spoke to Brendan. He was trying to see if somebody lived there. But what I did do is I contacted Preserve. I said, can you guys please let Brendan into this unit, because I'm gonna rent it. And so the record is
Okay,
super
I got
clear.
it.
We're talking about
I'll follow up for him.
$120 and smoke detectors and one fire extinguisher.
Mr. Gazzola.
$120. This is all based on $120. Just so we are
Mr.
clear.
Gazzola, your testimony is that you applied in 2014.
Yes.
Okay, I'm reading the minutes here that a application was paid for and enforced in 2015, and the reason Mr. Valenti became involved is because it was not renewed for 2016. So who would have paid for the application in 2015?
Well, I would love to see that,
Okay.
because we've never
And then-
rented it.
and-
But listen.
and then the second component-
Let me answer your question. Can I answer your question?
Sure.
You spoke. Now, can I please answer?
Sure.
When I spoke to Brendan, this is his precise words. And if we
Brendan
have to
wasn't
get him-
involved at this time.
Hang on.
My
You
question
spoke.
to you
Can I
was,
please
did
speak
you
now?
submit it in
Like you
2015?
You spoke. Can I please speak now?
Yes, as long as it's relevant to my question and
Okay,
the answer to the
very
question.
relevant.
Brendan was
It's very
before 2015.
Hang on.
Okay?
Please don't interrupt me. I don't interrupt you.
Perfect.
Please.
Mr. Chair,
Okay. So
we need to gain control
Brendan
of this.
told me,
One
Mike,
should
pay
speak
the
at a time.
$150 rent, because if you don't pay the $150 rental registration, you're going to get fines. You're going to get you are better off to pay the rental application fee, and it's only $150. Like, I'm even offering the board, I'll pay the last 5 years, even though it's never been a rental property. I'll pay the $150 a year, but that's $750. I'll still pay that, even though I'm not wrong. Like, I'll still pay the $150 a year, because the root of all of this is 2 smoke detectors and one fire extinguisher. It cost me $80 to put those into the house. $80.
Okay,
But I'm still willing to pay the $150 a year, even though it's never been a rental. I'm still willing to pay that.
okay.
But on Brendan's advice, and I've recorded conversations from Brendan, on his advice, he said, just pay the $150 a year. You're much better off. Because otherwise, you're going to have to go through all this rigmarole. That was his exact words. And I said, done. I'll pay the $150. But I'm not renting it. In 15, I was clear. I'm not renting it. Never spoke to
Okay.
Valenti.
We've got that, okay?
Okay.
So I apologize that I was talking over you there, and I let you finish. Back to my original question, it still has not been answered. Who submitted the application in 2015 and paid the amount? Did you do that?
Yes, of course I paid it.
For 2015, okay?
I mean, I would pay it every single year, even though it's not a rental. I
And
don't
then-
want problems. Like, I will pay it even now, even though it's not been a rental. I'll
Okay.
still pay it now, too.
Okay, one more.
Okay. We got the letter from the administrator there, but the minutes have sworn testimony that they spoke with the property man, he confirmed with the property manager that the property was occupied, but since it was a privately owned unit, the manager had no information on the identity of the tenants. So,
Who's testifying to that? Are they here now?
Officer Valenti, it's the minutes that you would have been probably given in reference to this case in 2016.
Wait. So Officer Valenti spoke to what property manager? Do they have a name? Who they spoke to?
The property manager there at the preserve.
What is that person's name? Just so we can be clear.
It's,
It's not here. It just as on the it's just not listed there.
Is Officer Valenti here now? Because I'd love to ask him who's the property manager he spoke
Well,
to.
this was back in 2016, and this is the basis of what we'd make a decision.
I mean, so an alleged conversation that we don't know the name of the person involved in the conversation. We don't know when it I mean, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but come on. We don't know who the property manager he spoke to, the date he spoke to him. Like, that's a little...
Mr. Okay, excuse me, Mr. Gonzalez, the city attorney's going to speak again.
Yes.
Yes. We seem to be spending a lot of time arguing the original violations, and that is not why we are here tonight. I have explained that to Mr. Gazzola, that the reason why we are here is to deal with the possible reduction of the lien, that the time for appealing the original finding of violation has passed, years past, and the reason why he missed his opportunity to appeal that or to argue that is because he didn't get notice of the actual hearing date, and he could not be here because he had not changed his address with the county. As has been pointed out, that is not the city's fault, that is the Gazzola's fault, and he has acknowledged that, so he understands what happened there. It seems that somebody was living there based on the fact that the officer testified that he actually had spoken to this tenant. Whether Mr. Gazzola knew the person was there or not, it really doesn't matter at this point, other than you can take that into consideration, his testimony as to what you are going to do with his lien. Is he an unwitting landlord? Perhaps. They did apply to be in the rental program. He had the intention of renting. His testimony is that he decided not to rent. It sounds like the management there, I don't know what the management there was doing. I don't know that he knows what the management was doing there. They were either putting people in or not putting people in. They can't find any leases. No, it wasn't notarized. I don't know which property addresses that management even looked up in order to give that piece of paper this evening. I think Mr. Gazzola made an effort to try to get them to provide information. They did what they did. It probably isn't the best, but it's something. Again, going back to whether he was an unwitting landlord or not, our feeling is that that is really the testimony and the issue for you to consider in whether you're going to reduce this lien, whether you're going to do it by calculating a number of days, times $75, that's up to you. Obviously, the city's feeling is we should at least get our costs paid, and I think that's the kind of testimony that we present at each one of these hearings. We want to make sure that what it's cost the city to deal with this, that gets reimbursed. And that's our final argument this evening on this.
Excuse me, we have a question. Do you have a question?
Yeah, or the city attorney or whoever.
Sean Lloyd.
I appreciate you narrowing us back in. Thank you. And since I was part of us straying, the amount that the city's recommending the lien be reduced to is $8,400. Is that correct?
That is what Mr. Baroni is recommending that it be.
Okay. And that's the city stance.
City costs are 1,600, right?
That's what I'm trying to.
1,500.
Yes.
And it's up to you to decide whether that is a reasonable amount based on, and I think, and in the process of possibly foreclosing on this, I did look up to see what the property was worth, and Mr. Gazzola is correct. He probably paid about twice what this property is worth now.
So as the
And-
city, the city presenting evidence to us, what is the city stance?
I stand by my recommendation. It's $8,400.
Thank you.
Yeah, but if you guys listen, Mrs. Shoshone, who's right, the city's costs are about $1,500. And I'm okay with that just because I'm not perfect in this whole situation. I'm not. But I was not a landlord, and I was not. But if it costs the city $1,500, and that's exactly what Ms. Shoshone just presented, is that the city's actual costs are about $1,500. I reluctantly would agree to pay the city's cost of the $1,500 because that's fair, right? If it really costs you guys $1,500, and I'm not in the right, but I'm also not in the wrong 100% because
Okay.
I wasn't a landlord.
Okay.
But $1,500 is fair for both of us.
Okay, we're going to wrap this up here pretty soon. We're trying to wrap it up.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
wanna make a
Mr.
motion.
Nappi.
in case number 145858 and 165117 for property located at 13203 Sanctuary Cove Drive, number 304. Upon hearing the facts and argument from the city and the property owner, I hereby move the board recommend to the city council that the lien be reduced from $117,550 to $8,400, contingent upon the lien being paid within 30 days of the council's decision, or it would revert to the original amount of $117,550, and the city is authorized to enforce the fine in accordance with the law.
I have a motion.
Second.
Second by Mr.
Wait, before you do that, I'm just saying.
Well, hold
listen,
on.
like,
We-
Mr. Chair, Mr. Chair, at this time, I would recommend, if there's going to be no more evidence presented, to go ahead and close the hearing on this and go into deliberations.
Right, that is correct. The case is closed for any other questions and comments. We have a motion and a second, and the board will go into deliberation. And then we will have a vote.
okay, yeah, because $1,500 is fair. That's your actual cost. Like, I'm just saying, I know it's not evidence, but
Yeah.
that's the actual cost.
I know it's hard for
And I
you.
don't want to do a lawsuit and all this stuff. Like, it's ridiculous to go through all that
I know it's
for no reason.
it's hard for you, but I mean, I know your feeling, and we've listened to you, and we've heard you, and I know but we have a motion that we are going to be discussing and voting on here.
So please say no, guys. Just say no. Please say no.
No
Because it's
no more comment, okay, please?
I know.
I know it's tough for you, but no more comment. Thank
I
you.
know, but I'm just saying, please say no. Because then you have a lawsuit.
Turn the
Like,
mic
come
on.
on.
Okay, what discussion do we have here?
I just want to make mention that, we keep talking about, he keeps saying there's just a fire extinguisher and a smoke detector. There was more than that. There was a stove missing. There were other things wrong. So I just want to point that out to the board as we're deliberating.
Well, I thought we weren't introducing any more testimony.
We're discussing what was presented to us.
I know it, and it was vacant, so you don't need a stove if it's vacant. Like, come on.
He doesn't understand the code, and at this time, it's not with Robert's Rules of Orders.
Mr. Gazzola, this is the attorney for the board. At this time, the board is going to deliberate, meaning discussing the evidence that is presented, and then we'll make a decision on the motion that is there. So at this time, only the board should be speaking.
Okay, I apologize. I didn't really know how this worked, so I'm with you. No problem.
All right. Any other comment?
I actually have some, I wanted to. So it would seem to me that the calculation of the 8,000 plus is only valid if this place is occupied as a renter. I'm wondering what evidence we have that he ever had this leased out to anyone. And you read the definition, and I'm not sure that we have met that criteria.
In the definition, I think it said if it's available for.
All we have is the
I have to
application.
remind you guys to ask the board, the chair, for permission to speak. So
Oh,
we
I'm
don't
sorry.
all talk at once, okay?
Sure,
All right,
sure.
go ahead.
Do you want me to ask you for permission now, or we're already gone?
Do you really want to do that? Go ahead. you
Okay.
talk.
No, I was being serious. I wasn't sure. All we have is the application, but I didn't know if that met the qualification for having actually had a renter. Because I believe the codes only apply if there is a renter, correct? Based on what you read?
No, it also states that if it's available for let. or
If it's
made
available.
for let.
So is the application meeting that definition of being available then? Because we don't have an agreement in paper.
Well, first of all, I think we got to be real careful here. We are not retrying the original
Correct.
violation.
Okay,
Which is
fair enough.
but you are making a determination as to whether there should be a fine reduction and how much, and that may to some degree weigh into that decision. But I just want to make sure that is distinguish that from actually trying to retry this case. This case is already, was found in violation 5 and 3 years ago. So what you're here for is just a fine reduction. You can take what's been presented and weigh that with regard to how much you want to reduce it, not a matter of whether a burden has been met.
Okay.
For the purposes of finding the violation.
Fair enough.
Thank you. Mr. Hubert.
So part of the definition was if it's available. So if you submit the application or if you pay for that, you're essentially saying this is available for rent or available for lease. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, if you
No,
if you're,
that's not accurate. That's not accurate. It
Well,
was
again-
never available for lease.
Again, we're not relitigating. We're talking about the lien that has accrued from a finding that was before the board some years ago. Mr. Lloyd.
Person, they were found guilty in violation, fine was assessed. We're now taking the courtesy to see if we're going to reduce the fine. Is that the nuts and bolts, break it down, peanut butter and jelly sandwich tape? Thank you.
Mr. Napkin.
Mr. Chair, I'd ask that you call the question, please.
Do we have a motion second, and there are no more discussion to call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
One nay. Mr. Lloyd. So the motion was to reduce to $8,400, and it was approved. And so that's,
Okay, but I'm not gonna do that. I mean, like,
well,
because I have the proof, I have the signed documents that the entire process was done incorrectly. So that means I have to file a lawsuit against the city because you try
Well,
and
sir,
get $8,400 when I can prove I wasn't a landlord.
that's a different forum, and I don't think you want to be saying any more here tonight.
Mr. Chair?
About that.
It's
Yes.
my understanding this is a recommendation to take to city council.
Right.
That is not a final decision. This will be heard by city council.
That is correct. I don't know what the next date will be.
Okay, when can I speak with city council?
It'll be probably in the,
We will let him know the date tomorrow or the next day.
okay, you'll be getting information from the city, which will give you the date of the
Okay.
council meeting that will be heard at. Okay?
Okay, yeah, that's reasonable. Okay.
All right. Thank you, and sorry to stress you out.
It's not stressful. I have like 15 other documents to present to show that everything was wrong, that they did.
All right. Bill, you have a good evening.
All right, you too. And
Thank
thank you guys for your time, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you, Kristen. Okay. Yes. Does anyone need a break, lunch or something?
Let's get going.
Hopefully this one goes a little bit better than the last one.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah, we'll get that fixed eventually.
All set? Okay. Mr. Chairman, you all set?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening, Tom Baroni, Code Compliance Director. At this time, I would like to introduce this lien reduction petition in case number 18-0048 and 18-2568, City versus Terrace Green, property located at 217 South River Hills Drive. In the first case, 18-0048, originated back in January 3rd of 2018 for stained exterior walls, which accrued a lien amount of $550, with 13 inspections by city staff and clerk fees totaling $613.50. In the second case, 18-2568, this case originated back on June 13, 2018, for overgrown conditions, broken windows, garage door windows broken, blinds on the exterior wall, and a swimming pool water with unsanitary contents, which accrued a lien amount of $11,375, with 12 inspections by city staff and clerk fees totaling $580. Adding both liens together comes out to $25,925, and adding both the city costs, it totals $1,193.50. Based on the health and safety issue with the swimming pool contents and the broken windows on the home, my recommendation to the board is to lower the lien from $25,925 to $3,800. What I did here is I used the 10% of the $26,000 lien and adding the city cost of $1,193. So it's roughly $3,800.
Are there any questions?
You know my question.
Mr. Lloyd?
Okay.
You know my question. The unpaid utilities, has that been paid?
Well, there was a utility bill for the water, but that was for the previous tenant that was prior to the owner that we're presenting tonight. So there was an outstanding water bill of $450 or so, but that was a tenant prior to this owner.
Okay. My concern is if we make a recommendation and
I agree.
there's an unpaid
Utility account, right.
utility account by the petitioner, it's not gonna look good.
Right, I agree.
Take into consideration. So that is not on Mr. Green.
That's not on Mr. Green.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Mr. Napke.
Director Baroni, Mr. Lloyd's question about the water bill.
Yeah.
The utility bill. The owner of the property, Mr. Green.
Right.
He rented it to somebody else, and the water bill was in the other person's name.
No. Prior to him taking ownership of this property, there was a tenant that had an outstanding water bill.
Okay. Thank you. I
No problem.
understand now.
No problem.
Any other questions?
Chairman, if I may?
Yes, Mr.
Just for clarification, so this house is currently in the process of being sold, is that
That's,
correct?
that's correct.
Okay, and the only thing stopping it is the liens?
I believe so, but
Okay.
Mr. Green's here tonight.
That's fine, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Williams?
Hey, good evening. I'm Mr. Green, and I just want to tell you what
Name,
happened with the
address-
story.
Address, please.
Okay, I'm sorry. I couldn't hear you, sir.
Address, please.
Oh, address is 217 South River Hills.
Okay.
During that time was when I was going through my divorce. I was on my last deployment, and I didn't realize all this stuff was going on with the house as far as the tenants trashing the place and everything. And then when they came back, I don't know how the windows and everything got broke, but I'm assuming that was from, 'cause we had issues with squatters living in the house. And during that time, during my divorce, they had put me in a financial hardship. So it was, and I was living up in Jersey at the time. So I had to come down here just to take care of the situation and get a job here too. And I hired Corey here to help me sell the house so I can get rid of property. But I didn't realize the violations was going on.
My name is Corey Williams, I'm Realtor, Limerick Realty.
Address, please.
I'm sorry?
Address.
My address?
Yes.
I just moved, I'm sorry. 7206 River Hills, 7206 Lakes Divide Drive, Temple
Thank you.
Terrace. Yeah, so as we were saying before, the house is under contract right now. The liens are holding that up. As soon as I just took on the property for sale, I got with Mr. Silva, we got the property in compliance as quickly as possible. Mr. Green is on a fixed income, so he doesn't have the funds available to pay for the outstanding lien amount. Coming up with things to get into compliance, I myself was out there helping scrubbing walls to try to get this in compliance as soon as possible. So we're asking for the board to reduce the liens down to at least $500 to about 15% of the city's cost, if possible. So I'm pretty sure, so we can try to get this taken care of.
Are there any questions of Mr. Green or Mr. Williams?
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Denapke?
First, thank you for your service to our country.
Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank
For
you.
both of y'all. The question is, when you came back down, how long ago was that?
I came down here, I believe it was September of last year.
Okay, so it's been 9 months, 8 months, thereabouts.
sir.
Okay. When were you aware that there were liens or fines accruing and so forth?
My mom got it, because I didn't change my address because I was homeless for a little while due to the divorce and everything, and paying child support for 4 kids. And I was staying in my RV because I had to buy an RV, so she got a letter and then she told me about it. Then that's when I had to quit my job up in Jersey because I couldn't afford to pay anyone to, take care of the house or whatever, from Jersey. And, it's more, because I got one daughter I'm paying for to go to college, and then plus my child support and everything. So the financial part was a little bit hard for me. So that's when I came down here and we started taking care of things on ourselves.
But the question was, when did your mom tell you you got a letter? Is that before you
A little
moved
bit
down
before
here?
I got down here.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Since you've been down here, you've been working?
Yeah, I just started working roughly about 6 months ago, maybe
Okay.
a little bit under 6 months.
So during that time, who's been taking care of the yard and so forth, just the outside?
Like, that's when we came over there, had to rent a lawnmower, and we then, anytime he'll tell me, I'll come over and cut it or whatever.
Okay, probably when Mr. Silva calls and says it's getting real high again.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Lloyd? Okay. Any other questions? Thank you. I have a question for Mr. Barone. You might want to, you may want to, or Silva, you might want to just stay close.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Tom, you might be able to answer this, or
Jose?
Jose might. Was there good faith how long after this property was, they testified when they came down, got notified?
Right.
Was it
The
good faith and
the
turned
prop-
around
the
pretty
property,
quickly?
the property was an eyesore. We were receiving some complaints from the neighbors. That is an entranceway to East River, West River. So a lot of residents go by that location, so I was getting a lot of complaints. As far as, I know there was a time when he brought his trailer there, Jose reached out to him and asked him to cut the grass, and the grass was never cut. So things changed, but it was very slow. The progress was kind of slow, so.
Good now.
Yeah, we're good to go.
We wouldn't be here
Yep,
for the reduction.
yes.
All right, thank you, sir.
Any other questions?
Remind me the original city costs total?
$1,200, roughly $1,200.
Okay, sorry, I didn't have that paper for some reason. Thank you.
Okay, there being no other questions, call for a motion.
You got it?
Go ahead. You got
Either way.
Go for it.
Mr. Lloyd.
I'll labor the first one, I'll get this one on. Okay, in case number 18-0048 and 18-2568, the property located at 217 South River Hills Drive. Upon hearing the facts and argument from the city and the property owner, I hereby move the board recommend to city council that the lien be reduced from the 25,925, is that the
Yeah,
amount?
that's
Yes.
correct.
Okay, to $1,200 contingent upon the lien being paid within 30 days of the council's decision, or it would revert to the original amount of the $25,925, and the city is authorized to enforce the fine in accordance with the law.
Second.
Second by Mr. Floder. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nay? One? Mr. Napke. The board has proposed to reduce the lien to $1,200. This will go before the city council and you'll get notified by the city clerk of when that meeting will be. And you can, and we will present to the city council, and they have the vote on whether to accept it or raise it or whatever.
Will I have to come here for that, or?
And that,
Would I be able to represent, because he travels?
yeah,
Yeah,
that
okay.
would be fine,
Okay.
however you work it out.
Okay.
But it's best that you come, I have to come, so you can.
Oh, I'll be here.
All righty.
Sure you know.
All right, thank you, Bruce.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next case, Kristen.
Okay, the next case will be under unfinished business. Case number 191067, City versus B&N Empire LLC for property located at 11010-03 North 56th Street. The extended deadline for compliance is tonight at midnight, and Officer Lori Smith has an update.
Good evening, Code Compliance Officer Lori Smith. A check with Community Development today revealed that the application is in the plan review. The permit has been submitted to Community Development. It's in planning review. Mr. Ball is here this evening and would like to address the board.
Okay. Mr. Ball, name and address?
Roger Ball, address is 10915 North 56th Street, Temple Terrace 33617.
What was that?
Temple Terrace 33617.
Okay, thank you.
First of all, I want to apologize because this is the third time I'm here, and every time I come here, I'm like, I have this done. It's at the very end of the thing, and I will have it complete. I have no doubts in my mind, and here we are again. we're basically have just this one property, which is the unit that got divided between 11001.
Could I get him to snuggle up to that mic a little bit?
Sure.
There you go.
Basically, it's just this one unit, which used to be one unit, 11001 and 11003, and we divided it up. And because of that, there's a lot of the permitting piece of it to come into compliance for people to understand that this isn't one unit anymore. Just going back and forth with my contractor and Amir, which is the permitting department. Finally, what the last information that we have is everything has been permitted. The very last thing he wanted was a signed and sealed copy from my engineer, which was given, which will be given to him tomorrow. Sorry, was given to him already about 2 weeks ago by email, but I realized on Thursday after talking to him, he wanted a printed copy and not by email. So I printed out 4 of them. He's on vacation. He left on Monday. We'll be back on Friday. And before he went, he said that this will be in plan review. Go to the board, let them know. And he had told me that there's nothing else that he needs. He's confirmed with the seal that the person is registered in Florida. So therefore, it's a valid seal. But he just wanted printed copies, 24 by 36. And I got them done, and I just brought them myself instead of waiting on the contractor.
Okay. So you do have signed and sealed copies in the office here at Temple Terrace City Hall.
I have them in my car right now.
Okay.
But I will be giving them tomorrow.
Okay.
You know, I printed it out by 18 by 36. That's not what the standard is. It's supposed to be 24 by 36.
Okay.
But the office is closed. I have them right now, so I'll
Okay.
just drop them off by tomorrow. Amir said, you know, he'll be back on Friday to review them. So.
Okay. Any questions?
Just a clarification, so I assume that what is happening here tonight is he's wanting another extension?
Extension, right.
Okay. Move to extend this case until our next meeting, which is July 10th, 2019.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Lloyd. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? No nays.
Thank you very much.
You get them plans in there, okay?
They're done. They're done, I swear.
All right. Okay. Next case, please.
Okay, the next case, we are going to skip down to case number 19-2123. City versus John L. Wadaz and Carmela V. Wadaz for property located at 6125 Liberty Avenue. Cases before the board based on an alleged violation of Section 12-921, parking residential property. Case will be prosecuted this evening by Director Brony. City has evidence that notice of violation and notice of hearing are properly served.
Good evening, Tom Baroni, Code Compliance. This case this evening originated proactively on April 10, 2019, when I observed a pickup truck parked on a non-durable surface and parking a vehicle to an unimproved driveway addition that must be adjoined to the existing driveway. Also noted a utility trailer unscreened from view. A door hanger was left for a 3-day re-inspection. My inspection on the 20th of April noted no change with the parking and trailer, therefore a notice of violation was prepared that same day with a compliance date of April 27, 2019. I posted the notice at the front door and I requested copies be sent out certified in first-class mail. I also requested a copy be placed at City Hall for the 10-day requirement. On the 13th of May, I closed the case when I noticed that the vehicle and trailer had been removed from the front yard. My inspection on the next day, May 14th, noted yard parking once again. I reopened the case and took photos of the vehicles parked on the non-durable surface and an unimproved driveway addition. At this time, I would like to submit photographic evidence of the violations. Exhibit number 1 through 4 notes yard parking on May 14th, May 16th, May 17th, and May 25th.
Without objection, the evidence will be admitted into the record.
Thank you, sir. Ford LTD. That's it. That's a LTD.
Oh, is that
Yeah,
what it is?
yeah. I thought it was a Lincoln too, but it's not, it's an LTD.
As of this date, vehicles have not been parking in the front yard. Therefore, I'd like to submit an affidavit of compliance.
Without objection, the evidence will be admitted into the record.
Thank you.
And the owners are here tonight. They're present.
Okay. Would they like to speak?
Would you guys like to speak?
Yeah, please. Can you state my name, or?
Yes, please.
All right, my name is John Woodaz.
Address?
I'm sorry?
Address?
The address where I live, or the address where this is taking
The
place?
address where you want your mailing to go to.
17541, my name's Carmela Woodhouse. Our address is 17541 Cedarwood Loop, Lutz, Florida,
Thank you.
33558.
Thank you. Is that good, Kristen? Thank you. Go ahead.
Well, when this started, we moved in the house in 1970. All right, after I got out of the military, I come down here, and that's where we lived. For 30 years, over 30 years.
40 years.
I parked there. There was never any problem. And when then y'all came along, or the city came along and put in a sidewalk, and the drop-off was quite steep, I acquired some street brick and put in there. Didn't want to put concrete because concrete creates a runoff. Put the street brick in there. In fact, where the car was, the picture where the car is parked, there is street brick there, believe it or not. It's just not visible. And after 20 years, I guess that happens. But my question to you is, or one question I have is, my grandson had the trailer there, and he was cleaning up some stuff that he had and trying to work and do this, and that's why the trailer was there for 2 or 3 days or however long it was there. And so there cannot be a driveway on that part of the property?
Not according to code.
So, but I mean, if it's a stable surface?
I will defer to Director Baroni.
The code states that it has to be adjoining to your existing driveway.
So we could make a driveway in our front yard?
You could add to your driveway that you have now, yes.
Into the front yard, because we can't do it on the other side. We'll be in the neighbor's yard.
But where your driveway is now,
Mhm.
on the right-hand side,
Mm-hmm.
you could extend that driveway.
No, we can't. There's not enough room,
Well, that's.
We'd have to take the hedge down.
Okay.
because we cannot park in the street.
That's
We've had
correct.
4 mirrors broke.
Okay.
We've had windshields broke.
Okay.
We've had back windows broke, taillights broke, because when they come flying around the corner, they don't care if a car's there.
Okay.
And we were told by code enforcement
Okay.
that we could park in the street.
You can park in the street. I'm not.
Okay.
That has nothing to do.
But now what about when you're parked the wrong way and you
Point of
get
order,
a
Mr.
ticket?
Chairman. This is the kind of discussion that you guys should be having privately.
Okay, all right.
It doesn't work with them.
But anyway, so the point is, there's no way that I can put any surface down where that car was parked and it'd be legal.
No, sir. It's not connected to the existing driveway.
Okay, I understand that. All right. Okay, good enough. So I guess that's basically it. We have to come up with some solution to,
You can extend your driveway now and widen it.
okay. We'll do something. We don't live there, by the way. Our daughter lives there.
Thank God.
And,
Okay.
so anyway,
All right.
I guess that's it?
Yeah,
Thank you.
what I would, without just a word of, you might want to get with Director Baroni and just sit down and talk a little bit about your options. He's saying that you can add on to the driveway. So that is an option for parking, but you just can't have 2 separate ones. And
I say, well, that's what would happen.
So,
It was-
yeah.
But, you know, the thing about it is, I mean, I parked there for over 30 years and we never had a problem.
I understand, sir.
So,
But it's in the code, though. It states it.
Would
has
they
to-
change the code or what?
Yes.
Oh.
Okay.
I just enforce the vote.
Any other questions? Mr. Napke?
Make a motion.
All right, so.
Okay.
In case number 192123, I move the city is proven by a greater weight of the evidence of the following violations of the City of Temple Terrace Code did exist on the property located at 6125 Liberty Avenue, Temple Terrace, applicable code section, violation section 12921, period. The motion is based upon the sworn testimony the board has received from the code enforcement officers and John and Carmelo Woodes, along with any other evidence, including photos, affidavits, the notice of violation, all of which is received and entered as part of the hearing. I move that there be no fine imposed because the violations were brought into compliance prior to the date of the hearing.
Second.
Second by Mr. Hubert. Discussion? There being none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No nays.
Okay, we'll move on to the first case. Case number 190789, City versus David Brian Dill for property located at 417 Broxburn Avenue. Case is before the board based on alleged violation of Section 10(3)B, sanitation grass weeds. Case will be prosecuted this evening by Officer Silva. City has evidence that the notice of violation and notice of hearing were properly served.
Good evening, board members. Jose Silva, Co-Compliance Officer. This case originated proactively on February 12, 2019. My inspection at the time noted overgrown yard grass, stained front wall, fence, along with vegetation growing in the rain gutter and carport clutter. This time I left 5 door hangers with a compliance date of February 17, 2019. My inspection on February 27th found no change, so I completed a notice of violation with a compliance date of March 14, 2019. No one was home, so I posted notice at the front door of the residence as well as City Hall. Also mailed copies, both certified and regular mail, to the address of the registered owner. I inspected the property again on March 12th and found the violations in compliance, so I closed the case. On May 14th, as I was in the neighborhood, I found that the yard grass was overgrown again. Since the violation reoccurred within 45 days, I've set it for an MCEB hearing. This time I have 2 photographs I'd like to submit. First one taken by me February 27, 2019, posting the notice at the front door. The second one will be taken by me May 14, 2019, to the overgrown conditions in the front yard. I'd like to submit those.
Without objection, the evidence will be admitted into the record.
As of today's date, the yard has been cut and is in compliance. I'd like to submit an affidavit of compliance.
Without objection, the evidence will be admitted into the record.
This time I'm looking only for a finding.
Are there any questions of Officer Silva? There being none, I call for a motion. Motion by Pavlovich.
In case number 19-0789, City versus David Brian Dill, I move that the city has proved by a greater weight of the evidence the following violations of the City of Temple Terrace City Code did exist on the property located at 417 Broxburn Avenue, code violation of code section 10-3 subsection B. This motion is based on the sworn testimony this board has received from the code enforcement officer Jose Silva, along with any other evidence, including photos, affidavits, and a notice of violation, all of which is received and entered as part of the record of this hearing. I further move that no fine be imposed because the violations were brought into compliance prior to the date of this hearing.
Second by Mr. Nupke. Any discussion? There being none, I call for a vote. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. No nays.
On to the next case, case number 190930, City versus Elvia Gonzalez, Nancy Swartz, Brian Swartz, and Debbie Swartz for property located at 5305 Grove Hill Road. Case is before the board based on alleged violation of Section 10.3B, sanitation grass weeds. Case will be prosecuted this evening by Officer Silva. City has evidence that the notice of violation and notice of hearing were properly served.
Good evening, Jose Silva, Code Compliance Officer. This case originated proactively February 19, 2019. My inspection at the time noted the yard grass of the residence to be overgrown. I left door hanger with a compliance date of February 22nd, 2019. My inspection on March 5th, 2019 found no change, so I completed a notice of violation with a compliance date of March 12, 2019. No one was home, so I posted notice at the front door of the residence as well as City Hall. Also mailed copies, both certified and regular mail, to the registered owner of the address. I inspected the property on March 12th and found the yard grass of the residence cut, so I brought the property into compliance and closed the case. On May 6, 2019, I found the yard grass overgrown again. Since the violation occurred within 45 days, I set it for an MCEB hearing. This time I like to submit 2 photographs. First photograph taken by me March 5, 2019 shows a notice posted at the front door. Second photograph taken by me May 6, 2019 shows the overgrown yard grass.
Without objection, the evidence will be admitted into the record.
Thank you.
As of today's date, the property has come into compliance. The yard grass is cut. I'd like to submit an affidavit of compliance.
Without objection, the evidence will be admitted into the record.
Thank you.
This time, I'm just asking for a finding.
Are there any questions? There being none, I call for a motion.
Take care of it. You got it? You want me to? I'll do it. Okay.
In
Case number 19-0930, I move that the city has proven by the greater weight of the evidence that the following violations of the City of Temple Terrace Code did exist on the property located at 5305 Grove Hill Road. Applicable code sections are Section 10-3, subsection B. And this motion is based on the sworn testimony this board has received from Code Enforcement Officer Jose Silva, along with the other evidence, including photos, affidavits, and the notice of violations, all of which is received and entered as part of the record of this hearing. I further move that no fine be imposed because the violations were brought into compliance prior to the date of this hearing.
Second, Hubert. Mr. Buckley. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay? No nays. You want to go? We'll just continue on.
Our next case will be case number 19-1124, City versus Dabarash Santiago for property located at 7720 Gulf Court. The case is before the board based on alleged violation of Section 12860 inoperative vehicles, outdoor storage equipment. Case will be prosecuted this evening by Officer Jose Silva. City has evidence that the notice of violation and notice of hearing were properly served.
Good evening again, Jose Silva, Code Compliance Officer. This case originated proactively on February 26, 2019. My inspection at the time noted 2 vehicles in the driveway of the residence with expired tags missing tags, and in state of disrepair. I left door hangers with a compliance date of March 1st, 2019. My inspection on March 1st, 2019 found no change, so I completed notice of violation with a compliance date of March 12th, 2019. I inspected the property on March 12th, 2019 and found the property in compliance. All the vehicles were gone, so I closed the case. On May 6, 2019, I discovered another inoperative vehicle in the driveway of the residence with a flat tire. Since the violation occurred within 45 days, I set it for a hearing. This time I have 2 photographs to submit. One taken by me on March 1st, 2019, showing the notice posted at the front door, and the second one of the vehicle with the flat tire, May 6, 2019, in the driveway of the residence.
Without objection, the evidence will be admitted into the record.
As of this afternoon, that white vehicle is still parked in the driveway of the residence in that condition.
Okay. Question? You have a question?
Have you talked to him? Sorry. We talked to the owner?
Mr. Lawrence?
No, sir.
Nobody on that vehicle?
Nobody.
Another question, Mr. Knapper?
Is the vehicle in question got a tag on it?
Yes, sir, and it's current.
Okay.
Any other questions? Pardon?
All right,
Mr.
we don't
Lloyd.
run tags, never mind. It's not our purview.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Call for a motion. Okay,
In case number 191124, I move that the city has proven by greater weight of the evidence that the following violations of the City of Temple Terrace City Code exist on the property located at 7720 Gulf Court. Violation Section 12860, inoperable vehicles, outdoor storage equipment. This motion is based on the sworn testimony this board has received from the code enforcement officer, along with other evidences, including photos, affidavits, and notice of violations, all of which is received and entered as part of the record of this hearing. I further move that said violations be corrected on or before, sorry, help me with the date there.
July 10th.
July 10th, 2019. If the respondent does not comply with this order on or before that day, they are ordered to pay the fine for each and every day the violations continue past the date set for compliance. Upon considering the following factors: the gravity of violation, any actions taken by the violator to correct the violation, any previous violations committed by the violator, I move that the fine to be $50 per day.
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Hubert. Motion by Mr. Buckley. Any discussion? There being none. Note that Mr. Stolling was absent for this. Call for the vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay? No nays. Thank you.
Next case number 191380, City versus Brenda Tran and Truby Lay for the property located at 13031 Terrace Springs Drive. Case is before the board based on alleged violation of Section 8-102-13B, exterior walls maintained in good repair. Case will be prosecuted this evening by Director Lori Smith. City has evidence that the notice of violation and notice of hearing were properly served.
Good evening, Lori Smith, Code Compliance Officer. This case originated proactively on March the 12th, 2019. My inspection revealed wall staining on the left and right side, fascia stains on the front and both sides, and mildew stains on the rear vinyl fence on the outside of the Arbor Isle Drive. At that time, I left a door hanger with the compliance date of the 2nd of April, 2019. My inspection on April 2nd, 2019 revealed no change. Therefore, a notice of violation was issued with the compliance date of the 29th of April, 2019. No one was at home, so I posted the notice at the front door, and I requested copies be mailed certified and first-class mail. I also requested copies to be posted at City Hall for the 10-day requirement. My inspection on May the 13th, 2019 revealed the staining on the fascia, vinyl fence, and right wall had been removed. However, the left exterior wall stain still remained. At this time, I'd like to submit photographic evidence of the violations taken by me on the 13th of May, 2019. I have two photos. Exhibit 1 shows a notice letter posted at the front door. Exhibit number 2 shows the wall stains on the left side.
Without objection, the evidence will be admitted into the record.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, question
Yes.
for clarification. This particular picture, we're talking about the house on the left-hand side or the right-hand side?
This right here, sir. This is the wall.
Okay, so they're standing under the window.
Yes, sir,
Okay.
all this, I mean, you can see it on the white part
Okay.
and on concrete side.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. I tried to get the best picture I could and how that house, there's a lot of shade. It was very, very difficult.
Mr. Chair, just for the purposes of the record, the house on the right is the one identified.
Yes. I'd say the beige house, but they're both
Yeah, they're
beige.
both the same color.
I'm just looking for a finding, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Mr. Snelling?
So have you had any contact with the owner or the tenant as to why they did part of this thing? If they're going to go back and finish the job, or do you know anything?
They did finish it. I never talked to the owners, but the gentleman that resides there that's renting the house, I spoke with him, and he is the one who got the remaining wall completed. I didn't really have a response for why certain parts were done at certain times, but it was. I just know that everything got accomplished. Last thing that needed to be done was that wall, and he came into compliance on June 4th.
Oh, okay.
You haven't,
Oh, sorry.
that's,
I missed
that's
that.
where, have you got, do you have, excuse me,
That changes
do you
things.
have a,
Yes, I'm sorry, yes, I do. I have an affidavit of compliance
Perfect, thank you.
without objection, the evidence will be admitted into the record. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, call for a motion.
I got it. In case number 19-1380, City versus Brenda Tron and True B. Lee, I move that the city has proven by greater weight of the evidence that the following violations of the City of Temple Terrace City Code did exist on the property located at 13031 Terrace Springs Drive. Violation of Section 8-102, subsection 13, subsection B. This motion is based on the sworn testimony that this board has received from Code Enforcement Officer Lori Smith, along with other evidence including photos, affidavits, and the notice of violations, all of which is received and entered as part of the record of this hearing. I further move that no fine be imposed because the violations were brought into compliance prior to the date of this hearing.
Second by Mr. Napke, motion by Mr. Pogorlich, I'll get it. Sorry, David.
Keep trying.
Any discussion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nay, no nays.
Next case number 191456, City versus Joey Valleyville, Kurian and Mariama Kurian for property located at 6109 East 130th Avenue. Cases before the board based on alleged violation of Section 128593, RVs, boats, and trailers non-commercial. Case will be prosecuted this evening by Officer Lori Smith. City is evidence that the notice of violation and notice of hearing were properly served.
Good evening, Lori Smith, Code Compliance Officer. This case originated proactively on March the 14th, 2019. My inspection revealed a utility trailer in the front yard. At that time, I left a door hanger with a compliance date of the 18th of March, 2019. My inspection on March 22nd, 2019 found no change, so a notice of violation was issued with the compliance date of the 1st of April, 2019. No one was at home, so I posted the notice at the front door, and I requested copies be mailed certified in first class. I also requested a copy be posted at City Hall for the 10-day requirement. I inspected the property on April the 1st, 2019, and found the violation in compliance, and therefore closed the case. On May 1st and on May 3rd, 2019, I found the utility trailer once again in violation within the 45 days, so I set it for the MCEB hearing. At this time, I would like to submit photographic evidence of the violation taken by me on the 22nd of March, May 1st, and May 3rd, 2019. I have 4 pictures. Exhibit 1 shows a notice letter posted at the front door. Exhibit 2 is utility trailer in the front yard unscreened. Exhibit 3, utility trailer in the side yard unscreened. Exhibit 4, utility trailer in the front yard unscreened.
Without objection, the evidence will be admitted into the record.
Thank you.
You just noticed that?
Who was that?
You were Mel, all right.
Got a promotion.
As of June the 11th, 2019, the site is now in compliance, and at this time, I'd like to submit an affidavit of compliance.
Without objection, the evidence will be admitted into the record.
Thank you.
Can do this one.
Motion by Mr. Buckley.
Yep. In case number 19-1456, I move that the city is proven by a greater weight of the evidence the following violations of the City of Temple Terrace City Code did exist on the property located at 6109 East 130th Avenue. Applicable code, section 12-859, subsection 3. This motion is based on the sworn testimony this board has received from the code enforcement officer, along with any other evidence, including photos, affidavits, and the notice of violation, all of which is received and entered as part of the record of this hearing. I further move that there be no fine imposed because the violations were brought into compliance prior to the date of the hearing.
Second. Second by Mr. Hubert. Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No nays.
Next case will be case number 19-1663, City versus Climaco Martinez for property located at 8713 Wakula Drive. Case is before the board based on alleged violation of section 10-3B, sanitation grass weeds. Case will be prosecuted this evening by Officer Jose Silva. City has no evidence that the notice of violation and notice of hearing were properly served.
Good evening, Jose Silva, Code Compliance Officer. This case originated proactively March 27, 2019. My inspection at the time noted the yard grass of the residence to be overgrown. This time I left the door hanger with a compliance date of March 30, 2019. My inspection on April 10, 2019 revealed no change, so I completed a notice of violation with a compliance date of April 21, 2019. No one was home, so I posted a notice at the front door of the residence as well as City Hall. Also mailed copies, both certified and regular mail, to the address of the registered owner. I conducted 2 inspections on April 30th and May 9th, 2019, and found no change. The yard grass was still overgrown. This time I'd like to submit 2 photographs. The first photograph taken by me is April 11, 2019, shows a notice posted at the front door. And the second one is the overgrown yard conditions taken by me May 9th, 2019.
Without objection, the evidence will be admitted into the record.
Thank you, sir.
As of today's date, the yard has been cut. The property is in compliance. I'd like to submit an affidavit of compliance.
Without objection, the evidence will be admitted into the record.
Thank you.
This time, I'm asking for a finding.
Okay. Mr. Napke has a question.
Go ahead, sir.
Mr. Silva, the yard in question is the one with the car?
What the car is
Okay,
located, sir.
thank you.
Any other? Mr. Buckley?
And the definition is the 12 inches overgrown, or is that separate from, that's the 12-inch tall grass
11
violation?
inch.
11 inch, sorry.
Not to exceed 11 inch.
Okay. I know a lot of these pictures sometimes look not as bad. Just
They don't look that as bad. You got to take into consideration, when I do a grass case, I look at the overall condition of the street. Let's say the house next door, the house on each side, to decide, is it overgrown or not? That's definitely overgrown.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions? Call for a motion.
Let me get in the game here.
Mr.
It's competition, right, Sean? It's-
That's, I,
Points, man.
I gotta
Mr.
get-
Snelling.
Blorvich is way ahead.
All right, in case,
Get a free Slurpee.
in case number 19-1663, I move that the city has proven by a greater weight of the evidence that the following violations of the City of Temple Terrace City Code did exist on the property located at 8413 Wauchula Drive. Violation of section 10-3 subsection B. This motion is based on the sworn testimony this board has received from Code Enforcement Officer Jose Silva, along with any other evidence, including photos, affidavits, and notice of violation, all of which is received and entered as part of the record of this hearing. I further move that there be no fines imposed because the violations were brought into compliance prior to the date of this hearing.
Second.
Second by Mr. Gorelich, there. I've said it wrong for so long that okay. Any discussion? All, call for a vote. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay?
Next case will be case number 192253, City versus Cena Realty LLC for property located at 12909 North 56th Street. Case is before the board based on alleged violation of Section 10(3)B sanitation grass weeds and Section 1034 sanitation keep premises clean. Case will be prosecuted this evening by Officer Lori Smith. City has evidence that the notice of violation and notice of hearing were properly served.
Good evening, Lori Smith, Code Compliance Officer. This case originated proactively April the 26th, 2019. My inspection revealed overgrown grass on the right-of-way and debris scattered throughout the parking lot. At that time, I left a door hanger with a compliance date of the 3rd of May, 2019. My inspection on May the 3rd, 2019 revealed some of the debris had been cleaned up, but the site was not cleaned up entirely, nor had the right-of-way been mowed. Therefore, a notice of violation was prepared on May 14th, 2019, with a compliance date of May the 20th, 2019. I hand-delivered the notice of violation letter to cashier Tyann Diggs and requested copies be mailed certified and first-class mail. I also requested a copy be posted at City Hall for the 10-day requirement. My inspection on the 20th of May 2019 revealed no change. At this time, I would like to submit photographic evidence of the violations taken by me May the 13th, 2019. I have 5 photos. Exhibit 1, overgrown grass and weeds on the right-of-way. Exhibit 2, debris and overgrown on right-of-way. Exhibit 3, debris inside the parking lot. Exhibit 4, debris inside the beds of the parking lot. Exhibit 5, debris along the right-of-way on 130th Avenue.
Without objection, the evidence will be admitted into the record.
Cities?
What you're responsible for.
Mr. Chairman and board members, I did also contact Louis Heilbron, the district manager of Dollar General, on Thursday, May the 9th, 2019, left a voicemail, requested a call back to discuss the violations. Didn't receive a call back, sir.
You did not?
I did not.
Were you able to talk to, you gave this a notice to Tyann Diggs, but were you able to speak to anyone?
Yes, sir. I spoke to the manager inside the store, Crystal, and explained the situation, what the violations were. She put it in the computer to corporate would receive the information and escalated each time that I came back to the property, which I came back actually 5 different times. came on 4/25/19, again on 5/13, 5/17, 5/22, 5/30. Each time that case was entered into the computer while I was at that location. As of June the 11th, 2019, the site is now in compliance. I'd like to submit an affidavit of compliance.
Without objection, the evidence will be admitted into the record, but I do have a question.
Yes, sir.
Because 56th Street is right out there. And that street shot with the culvert and the drainage ditch and everything, it's been in a working situation, but I believe that's a state road.
It is.
And the city or somebody does maintain the median, and they do the ditches, I believe.
No, sir, they don't do the ditches. The city, our Temple Terrace, they do the medians, but it's under the business owners to take care of that right-of-way out there.
Oh, okay.
As a matter of fact, the maintenance of the right-of-way that was done, it wasn't initiated by the dollar store. It was actually done by Florida Safety Contractors Incorporated. It was the contractors that put the gas pipeline in coming down 56th Street. I saw them out there weed eating and stopped and asked them, and they were told by their boss to come out and take care of that right-of-way by the dollar store. So they did come into compliance, sir.
Okay.
But it wasn't initiated by themselves.
Okay.
It was by the contractors.
All righty. Thank you.
Interesting. Thank you.
It's just like we are down to the street.
I'm just looking for a finding, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Are there any questions? There being none, call for a motion.
I'll do it.
Mr. Lloyd.
Okay. In case number 19-2253, I move the city has proven by greater weight of the evidence the following violations of the City of Temple Terrace Code did exist on the property located at 12909 North 56th Street. I guess I need to read the code section there. 10-3 subsection B of the code existed on the property located at 12909 North 56th Street. The motion is based on the sworn testimony this board has received from the Code Enforcement Officer Smith, along with any other evidence, including photos, affidavits, and the notice of violation, all of which is received and entered in as part of the record of this hearing. I further move that there be no fine imposed because the violations were brought into compliance prior to the date of this hearing.
Second.
Second by Mr. Pavorlich. Any
I'm doing it faster. You
discussion?
have to say my last name a lot.
Yeah, there you go.
Any discussion? There being none, I call for a vote. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. No nays. Next
Okay.
case, please.
Case number 195037, City versus 11706 Braintree Village LLC for property located at 11706 Braintree Village Boulevard B. This case has been withdrawn from consideration by the board this evening.
That was quick.
Yeah.
Next case, please.
Next case, case number 195086, City versus High Point Trust Services LLC, trustee for property located at 502 Coach Lane. This case has been withdrawn from consideration by the board this evening. The next case, case number 195114, City versus Calypso Trading LLC for property located at 6713 Jennifer Drive. This case has been withdrawn from consideration by the board this evening. And then lastly, case number 195138, City versus Tijun Sean for the property located at 8718 Beverly Drive. This case has been withdrawn from consideration by the board this evening.
Wow.
Okay.
Did you read about case number 195041?
That was on a, that was not on the actual agenda.
Oh,
That was probably an error in the script that I gave you, but that was not on the actual agenda.
thank you.
So unfinished business. Case number 185233, City versus Elvira L. Machado for property located at 12609 North 52nd Street. The extended deadline is tonight at midnight, and an affidavit of compliance for Section 1034 was submitted by Officer Smith dated May 28th, 2019.
Great.
Case number 185554, City versus U.S. Bank National Association for the property located at 7911 Shore Bluff Court. An affidavit of compliance for Section 8 to 10213B was submitted by Officer Allen dated May 9th, 2019. Case number 190054, City versus Safe Haven Property Investors for property located at 314 Springdale Place. An affidavit of noncompliance for Section 8-10213B and 8-10213C was submitted by Officer Silva dated May 9th, 2019. Case number 190924, City versus James B. Burns for property located at 602 Courtney Drive. Deadline for compliance is tonight at midnight. Case number 191110, City versus Jessica Montgomery for the property located at 12908 Rainforest Street. An affidavit of compliance for Section 2291 was submitted by Director Brony dated May 9th, 2019. And lastly, case number 191241, City versus Mon Dido for property located at 8750 Morrison Oaks Drive. Deadline for compliance is tonight at midnight.
Thank you. I just want to comment on all the cases that were in compliance tonight. It's a good thing for all. We did the lien reductions. Mr. Barone, do you have any before new business? There being none. Any new business, Kristen?
I have nothing else.
I have nothing. Anyone? I call for a motion.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, having missed the last meetings, I just want to comment that it's come a long way. Appreciate these scripts. Appreciate you reeling me back in. But 7 of those 8 cases that were on the agenda tonight were compliant. So as the board chairman said, awesome. And even the unfinished ones. So I like the way things are headed, man. I mean, it's pretty awesome, and I just want to call it out. So
Great.
thanks.
Call for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn since I talked.
Second. So called. The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.